So the Spurs and Atlanta Hawks situation was nothing like the Utah Jazz situation with Lowry marketing. Nothing at all like it.
I want some nasty. Are we having fun yet?
All right, so we're going to dive straight into this because I do find this interesting and I want to talk to you guys about it. So we all know all of the talk that came up about how the Spurs could potentially get Trae Young, and it was very obvious that we were interested. We were in talks with the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, us being basically the only team that they can trade with and feel comfortable with giving up Trae Young for, because they could get all of their picks back. So there were some directions that the Spurs could go in. I've said this time and time again because these are just my thoughts on it. I don't think that the Spurs could have made a wrong move necessarily, right? I feel like it was win-win regardless. If we were to went after Trae Young, if we were to kept him where he was, and we just play our chances in the drafts. Maybe possibly that's the better option, right? I'm cool with how things have gone now that we have Stephon Castle, bringing in Chris Paul to help him with his skills. I'm content. I am absolutely content, and I think the Spurs are on their way of creating that dynasty. They made another step, an important step, in making that happen, right? But at the same time, there was also a reality in which the Spurs grabbed Trae Young. So let's listen to this. This is ESPN talking about it. Let's listen. Hold on. Let me make sure it's turned up. I forget to do this all the time. All right, it's in my headset. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it. The simple fact of the matter is, if there was a real market for Trae Young, he'd be somewhere else right now. It's not like they got some kind of wild blockbuster return for DeJounte Murray. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't anything comparable to some of the other star trades that
it was a bet against the Lakers. That's not, yeah, Dyson Daniels is an interesting young piece, but basically they wagered with the Lakers' unprotected pick this year. In this draft, they wagered against the Lakers. That was part of what that trade was about.
Is there a market for Trae Young? Leave that in the comments. Do you think that there's a market for Trae Young? Because I don't believe that it's not. I think there is a market for Trae Young, me personally. I think the bigger problem is that the Atlanta Hawks just need it so much to make it make sense for them, where now it comes down to, all right, we got to get rid of Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. And at this point, we're not going to get what we got back on DeJounte, and our only chances of getting something really great will be through Trae Young, but we need a lot, and the only team that holds on to things that we need are the Spurs, right? So I think there was a market. Teams were definitely interested in Trae Young. They just didn't have enough to give up. I don't know.
It's about.
Yeah, but listen, like the San Antonio Spurs,
Hey, that's us.
if they wanted Trae Young, they easily could have gone and gotten him. And that wasn't even a bet on Trae Young as your best player. That was Trae Young as your second best player.
Don't want to get copyrighted. You guys can look at it a little bit.
There wasn't a real market for Trae Young, and he doesn't necessarily need to reestablish a trade market for himself. But as you said, as extension talks are coming, I think he does have to reestablish his value. Money. But honestly, it's a bad situation in Atlanta.
It is a terrible situation in Atlanta. As you guys know, we are set. The Spurs are in a perfect position. I know. It seems like it's a little premature for me to say that Brian Wright is a good GM, okay? I know I say it all the time, and sometimes people say, dude, you don't know that until everything comes together. Every move that he has made thus far has been a pretty good move, okay? And even the ones that we want to point to, I mean, it comes down to who are we comparing them to. If you compare our front office and how they've operated, let's just say the last few years versus a lot of other teams in the NBA, I mean, we're on pace of one of the better teams, especially coming out of a rebuild clean. I think the Spurs are doing a really great job of making that happen. I mean, we did not have to tank for that long for us to get Wemby, for us to be in this position, and all of our draft picks leading up or in the next few years are phenomenal. So I think that we've been doing a really great job. And the Atlanta Hawks, it took a lot of foresight, I think, from our front office to know that would be a phenomenal trade to get rid of DeJounte Murray, take their future, take advantage of their vulnerabilities at that point. And it seems like right now, 2025 is going to be a beautiful draft for us, and we could potentially end up having 2 lottery picks because the Atlanta Hawks, every single thing that they've been talking about and their coach has been talking about is building young players. They're trying to develop young players. They are not talking about winning. They are not talking about trying to make some huge swings. They're not talking about trying to bring someone in to help. And I don't really think they're in a position to do it. They're just inevitably going to lose a lot of games unless Trae Young can just put the team on his back and win game upon game upon game, which I don't think will happen. I mean, I guess they got a little bit of an opportunity because people want to tank for Cooper Flag, but I don't think it's the same, Wemby effect where that's going to happen, where everybody wants to attempt to lose to make that happen. I just don't think that'll be the case. They're in a really bad situation. Okay. They are in a really terrible situation. There's no point in tanking. They're going to try, but they're just not good enough. They're just not good enough. So Spurs did a great job. We're in a great position. And one thing that he said that stood out is basically said the Spurs could have got Trae Young if they wanted to. So we know for a fact that we had the assets to do it, and the Spurs have chose not to go that route. And it's a good decision. Like I said, I was win-win for us, regardless of what they decide to do. But it was a good decision nonetheless. And now we're in a position where we're really going to be able to take advantage of the weaker Atlanta Hawks in the situation that they're in. They made a terrible decision going after DeJounte Murray. And I remember when it first happened, I think we went live that night when it first happened. And I was like, that's a fleece. I don't care what anyone says. DeJounte is not exactly that what teams, or at least the Atlanta Hawks, thought that he was. He is not that. I didn't see how he would fit with Trae Young. It made no sense. Not a lockdown defender because they thought, oh, we could have another defender, next to Trae Young. No. But yeah, beautiful. And I'm really excited for this upcoming season. Sorry, just wanted to rant a little bit if that was a rant. But you guys let me know what you think. Would you have still wanted Trae Young? Do you think there was no market for him? Just let me know. I'll give it to you later. Till next time. Bye.